Hello students, today we are going to study frequency response analysis. So before starting the topic, I will give a brief difference between time response and frequency response so that it will be easier for us to understand what are the similarities as well as the dissimilarities between time response and frequency response. So first we will study time response. So what is in a time response analysis? Whenever the input signal is a ramp signal or unit step signal or parabolic signal, here we can see it is a function of time, that is signal is varying with respect to time. So whenever the input is in a time domain and it is given to a linear time invariant system, LTI system, then the output is also in time domain. That means if input is R of t, then we will get output C of t. Both input and output are function of time. Therefore the response, that is output C of t, is a function of time. Therefore it is called time response analysis. We are analyzing the response, therefore it is called time response analysis. So while analyzing the response in time domain, we have different parameters that I have already told you in previous classes, that is TR, rise time, TP, peak time, maximum overshoot, MP, settling time, TS, as well as steady state error, ESS. These are called time response specifications. Then let us move to frequency response. So whenever the input applied to an LTI system, linear time variant system, is a sinusoidal signal, as we know, sinusoidal signal is represented as AM is the maximum magnitude sine omega t. Here there is a term omega. Omega is called angular frequency. So whenever the input is having some frequency terms and it is given to an LTI system, then we will get an output which will be AM A into sine omega t plus phi. So from representation we can see both input and output are sinusoidal in nature and having a component of frequency. Therefore it is called as frequency response, because the response is C of j omega y j omega. This is the frequency domain. We will simply convert S to j omega. So output response has a term of frequency, therefore it is called frequency response, and we are analyzing the output, therefore the topic named as frequency response analysis. Like time response specifications, TSTP, maximum overshoot, TR, that I already told. Similarly, we have frequency response specifications. And what are those response? That is MR, resonant peak, WR, that is resonant frequency, omega B, bandwidth, gain margin and phase margin. We are going to study it in detail. So these are the frequency response specifications. Then we'll move to the nodes. So what exactly, whenever the input to a transfer function is a sinusoidal, that I already told, then the response of LTI system is also sinusoidal. The response is called frequency response. So before analyzing frequency response, we will first see the transfer function of a first order system. So in a Laplace domain, it is 1 by 1 plus st. So as I told you, here we will convert it into frequency domain transfer function. That is, we will simply change s to j omega. So my frequency domain transfer function is 1 by j omega. So if I will simply replace s with j omega, then the first order transfer function will become 1 by 1 plus j omega t. As we can see, it is a complex quantity. So complex quantity has both magnitude as well as phase. So this transfer function will have both magnitude and phase. Then, as we know, transfer function, a transfer function is nothing but laplace transfer Laplace transform of output to Laplace transform of input. So if I want to find the output of a particular system, then what I will do? Output is transfer function input. Same thing is applicable to frequency domain also. So C of j omega is equals to G of j omega into R of j omega. As I already told, g of j omega is a complex quantity 1 by 1 plus j omega. So complex quantity has both magnitude and phase. So if we want to find the magnitude, magnitude will be, how much will be the magnitude? Since it is in 1 by 1 plus j omega complex domain, so magnitude of g of j omega is 1 divided 1 plus omega square. And similarly phase, how we will find the phase? Phi is equals to 1 will give a phase difference of 0 degree, then it is in a denominator, 1 plus j omega is in denominator, so when we will write the denominator phase, then it will be minus will come, minus x plus jy form, so phase is tan inverse of y by x, therefore tan inverse here y is omega t, x is 1. So what exactly my magnitude is? So whenever two quantities are multiplied, then their magnitude is simply multiplied and their phase is added. This is the common principle. Therefore, if we see, the input signal has a magnitude a, when it is multiplied with 1 by root 1 plus omega square, so the whole output signal magnitude will be a into 1 by 1 plus omega square into t square. Similarly phase, as I already told, phase will be added, therefore my phase is g of j omega plus r of j omega, that is minus tan inverse of omega t that we have already derived, plus phase, if there is some phase in the input signal, that will be added. So the conclusion we got here is that in order to find the output of a system, LTI system, if a transfer function is known to us, then we will find the magnitude as well as a phase of that particular transfer function. Then that a transfer function magnitude will be multiplied with a signal, input signal magnitude, and transfer function phase will be added with input signal phase. So my resultant output signal is a divided by 1 plus omega square t square sine omega t plus phi. This is the input signal. Phase, along it will be added with the phase of transfer function minus tan inverse of omega t. This is the response, that is output response in frequency domain. So here we have analyzed a simple form, that is first order transfer function, but our main analysis is on second order transfer function. So we will see how the second order transfer function will change in frequency domain. Transfer function of a second order system in frequency domain. As we know, second order transfer function is omega n square divided s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square. So this is in s domain or Laplace domain. So frequency domain transfer function will be simply s will be replaced by j omega. It will be omega n square divided s square is j omega n square whole square plus 2 zeta omega n into j omega whole plus omega n square. So as we know, j square is equals to minus 1, we will get this result. Similarly, we can see, so here it has a real part, that is minus omega square plus omega n square, and imaginary part j 2 zeta omega omega n. Here zeta is the damping ratio and omega n is the natural frequency of oscillation. So here we will divide omega n square in both numerator and denominator, then I will get a transfer function in this manner. So I will take omega by omega n as u, omega by omega n as u. U is the normalized frequency. Then I will replace omega by omega n in terms of u. Then I will get a transfer function as 1 by minus u square plus j2 zeta u plus 1. So the purpose of deriving the second order transfer function is that we will find the magnitude. As I already told, the in a frequency domain it has both a magnitude and phase. So we will find the magnitude as well as phase. So I got the transfer function in this manner, that is 1 by minus u square plus 2 j2 zeta u plus 1. So it has both j term is there, that is imaginary, as well as a real term. Therefore my magnitude will be, as I have already told, 1 will be remain as it is a constant, or it has a real part only. Then the magnitude of this imaginary part is a square plus b square. A is real part square plus b square is imaginary part square, so it will come in this form. Similarly, phase is 1 will give a phase of 0 degree. So when in complex domain it is in a by b form, then my phase is calculated as phase of numerator minus phase of denominator. So phase of 1 is 0 degree, minus sign is there. Denominator phase is tan inverse of y by x. Y is the imaginary part. So imaginary part is 2 zeta u divided by 1 minus u square. So if I will represent my transfer function in polar form, that is magnitude and phase, so simply it will come in this manner. So here we have derived the second order transfer function in S domain. We have converted into frequency domain. Then we will analyze. As we have already seen that the transfer function in a frequency domain is a function of frequency. So if I will vary the frequency, then how my transfer function will change and how my magnitude will change, that I will see here. So magnitude, this is the form of magnitude we have already derived. So we have replaced omega by omega 1, omega by omega n as u, that I already told. U is the normalized frequency. So since I am drawing a graph between frequency and magnitude, so I will replace this normalized frequency in the original form, that is omega by omega n. This is my magnitude. So if I will change the value of omega for a constant zeta, that is damping ratio, here zeta term is there. So how my magnitude will change, that I will see in this particular graph. So when omega value is 0, then my graph will start from 1. Then with increase in omega, my graph will gradually increase and it will reach its maximum value. The maximum value is called MR, that is resonant peak. Then with further increase in frequency, then it gradually the magnitude will reduce and it will become 0 when omega is equals to infinite. So what we will do, parameters, that I already told. What the different parameters, these are called frequency domains specifications. We will see in a detail what are the different parameters which we will get from this graph. So first graph is resonant frequency. What is the definition of resonant frequency? The frequency at which the output of system has a maximum magnitude. The output of system has maximum magnitude is called as resonant frequency. That means the frequency omega r at which amplitude is maximum is called MR, or magnitude is maximum is called MR. So the derivation is not part of your syllabus, but I can give a brief description. If you want to derive this equation, you can easily derive. So how this omega r we will get? As we know, this graph reaches maximum at this point. So if we'll take the derivative dm by d omega, because it is changing with respect to omega, so if we'll take derivative, so the maxima will occur at this point. So what is the derivation formula to find the maxima? We let magnitude derivative with respect to omega and equate it to 0. So if we will solve this equation, we will get this formula of resonant frequency, that is omega r is equals to omega n. Omega n is the natural frequency into root 1 minus 2 zeta square. Zeta is damping ratio. As I already told, this graph is drawn for a constant value of zeta. Zeta is constant. If we will vary the zeta value, then this graph also changes with variation in omega. So therefore, since this graph depends upon the value of zeta, therefore in a resonant freak also we will get a term zeta. Then resonant peak. So same concept we will see. After finding omega r we have calculated from maxima formula, that is a dm by d omega. We will first take the derivative of magnitude. This magnitude I will take the derivative and equate to 0, then I can find the omega r. If I will take this omega r value and put it in magnitude formula, then I can easily find the value of maximum magnitude, or that is called as resonant peak. So the definition for resonant peak is the maximum value of magnitude is called as resonant peak. So that is this value is called mr. The formula that we will get exactly what I have already discussed. So by following that procedure, we will get mr value as mr is equals to 1 by 2 zeta root 1 minus zeta square. So here also we can see the maximum magnitude also depends on depends on damping ratio. Then another term is bandwidth. Bandwidth is a very important term while analyzing a system in frequency domain. So what exactly bandwidth is, that we will see from this graph. See, the simple description of a bandwidth is 1 from where the graph started. So the range of frequencies, that is frequency will start from 0, the range of frequencies at which the magnitude reduces to 1 by root 2 times of its magnitude at 0 frequency. At 0 frequency magnitude is 1, so the range of frequencies at which the magnitude will reduce to 1 by root 2, 1 by root 2 time of its maximum value. So m max by root 2, maximum value at 0 dB. 0 dB maximum value is 1, so 1 by root 2, so 1 by root 2 is 0.707. So I can say that the range of frequencies where magnitude will become 0.707 of the magnitude at 0 dB frequency, at 0 frequency, is called as bandwidth. Okay, so omega b, we can see the definition of omega b, that is bandwidth. The range of frequencies over which the magnitude m is greater than or equal to 1 by root 2 times the magnitude at 0 frequency. That means the magnitude at 0 frequency, it's 1 by root 2 times magnitude we will see, is defined as bandwidth. So bandwidth formula, that is omega b is equals to, how we will find the bandwidth formula? Same thing we will change. As we know how we can derive the formula for bandwidth. As we know, at bandwidth magnitude is how much? 1 by root 2. So we have the formula for magnitude, that is 1 by root 1 minus omega square by omega n square whole square plus 2 zeta omega by omega n whole square. So I will simply equate this magnitude value to 1 by root 2 and change omega to omega b, because we are finding the bandwidth. So by replacing in this manner, we can find the formula for bandwidth, which will be omega b is equals to omega n whole root of 1 minus 2 zeta square plus root 4 zeta to the power 4th minus 4 zeta square plus 2. Okay, so this is the formula for bandwidth. Then the next two parameters are very important from stability point of view, because our main motto is to find whether a particular system is stable or not. So from gain margin and phase margin, we can find a stability of a particular system in frequency domain, because gain margin and phase margin term will only come in frequency domain. So what is gain margin? These two term we will broadly see in Bode plot. So here we will see the definitions only. So gain margin is the amount of gain in a decibel that can be added or required to drive the closed loop system to the verge of instability. That means we will find the amount of magnitude in dB that is required in order to make the system unstable. That means margin. As we know margin, we have already seen in cricket matches. So we ask at what margin a particular team has won. That means the difference between the runs required and the opponent team has made, that difference is called margin. In that particular margin, a particular team wins. Okay, so same thing, if a system is stable, so how much extra magnitude is required in order to make the system unstable? That extra magnitude is called margin. So since we are taking gain, so it is called as gain margin. In detail we will study in Bode plot, and we will see how this gain margin concept is coming into existence. So right now we will see only the definition. So we got a clarity that gain margin is the amount of gain in dB that can be added or required to drive the closed loop system to the verge of instability. And one thing we will see, the gain margin is always calculated at phase crossover frequency. So what is phase crossover frequency? The frequency at which phase is 180 degree, that is called as phase crossover frequency. Then the next term is phase margin. So phase margin, here gain, so extra gain that is required to make the system unstable. Similarly, extra phase that is required to make the system unstable is called phase margin. So phase margin is the increase in open loop phase shift in degrees required to drive the closed loop system to the verge of instability. That means it is the amount of extra phase that is required in order to make the system unstable. It is calculated at gain crossover frequency. So we can see a difference, that is gain margin is calculated at phase crossover frequency and phase margin is calculated at gain crossover frequency omega gc. So I will say the gain crossover frequency is the frequency at which the gain is 0 dB. Okay, so these two are basically the parameters to find the stability of a system. Then the next topic is correlation between time response and frequency response. That means how time response specifications or parameters and frequency response parameters are correlated. So in time response, so here this graph we have already derived it, that is the unit step response of a second order system. Okay, and this I already told. Right now the variation of magnitude with frequency for a constant value of zeta. So what are the different parameters? Here we have a parameter called omega d. Omega d is the damped frequency. Omega d is omega n into root 1 minus zeta square. So omega d is the damped frequency that can be correlated in frequency domain as omega r. Omega r is the resonant frequency. That means the frequency at which we will get a peak magnitude, that is omega r. Omega r is equals to omega n into root 1 minus 2 zeta square. Similarly, in a time domain, we have a concept of MP, that is peak overshoot. What is peak overshoot? That is the extra shift in magnitude from the steady state value is called as peak magnitude, that is MP. Same concept here is resonant peak or peak overshoot MR. MR is the maximum magnitude that I will get with a change in frequency. The third term is phase, that is a tan inverse root 1 minus zeta square by zeta, and here we have also derived the phase, that is minus tan inverse of root 1 minus 2 zeta square by zeta. Second is speed, TR, that is rise time. Rise time is inversely proportional to speed. That means if the rise time, TR, rise time is the time taken by the response to change from 10% to 90% of its final value. If the rise time will be less, then the speed of response will be more. So rise time is inversely proportional to speed. Exactly, we can say in a frequency domain, if the bandwidth will be more, omega b is the bandwidth. If a bandwidth will be more, then speed of response will be high. Second thing is TS. In a time domain, TS will give the idea about stability. TS is the settling time. So if the settling time will be less, the system is more stable. This will give us the idea about stability. And as I already told, gain margin and phase margin, these are the two parameters which gives us the idea about stability of a closed loop system. So with this, we have completed all the specifications of frequency domain, and in next video I will teach you the first frequency domain plot in order to find the stability, that is Bode plot. Thank you.